Hi everyone and welcome back to a brand new video.
Hello!
So if you are brand new to the channel, I'm Helena.
And I'm Martin.
And we recently...
So I don't know how to say that. I'm Martin.
And we recently went on a trip to Efteling.
Yes.
So all of the vlogs are on the channel if you want to check them out. And we're very kindly gifted the trip from Efteling and also Le Shuttle because we use Le Shuttle to get over to, well, first of all over to Calais and then we drove to the Netherlands.
Yes.
It was an amazing trip from start to finish. It was our first time ever going to Efteling. We'd heard so much about it.
And it's an amazing European theme park.
Yeah.
If you were wondering.
Oh, yes.
If you're watching this for like the first time to sort of even gauge what Efteling is. But we decided, because it was our first time going, that we would compile a list of tips that we got from our first time to help you if it's your first time going.
Yes.
But I will say that we have narrowed it down to just 10 tips. However,
There's so many more that we could have put on.
we know that a lot of you have been to Efteling many times and that you have some amazing tips. So if you have any tips that will help anybody that's thinking about going out, pop them in the comments.
Yeah, we sort of tried to think of the most helpful if it was your first time. So we tried to think of someone who maybe doesn't know much about the park, first time visiting, and they want the basic first time tips.
Yes.
So we really hope they're helpful, and also we would highly recommend a trip because
Yes.
we loved it.
And if you want to check out our trip, all the vlogs are on the channel.
Yes.
So the first tip is actually to do with when you're looking into booking your trip, and it's something that's quite helpful on the website. The website is very helpful, and then there's also something else that's very helpful, which we'll get onto a little bit later. But in terms of the website, if you go onto the website, there's a practical information section, and you go to that, and it says opening hours and crowds, and then it will give you a calendar, and that calendar is colour coordinated, and it's to show you how busy they think the park is going to be on those certain dates. So it'll be like not busy, lively, or busy.
Yes, and it's really helpful to check out because especially when we went, I think initially the dates that we picked were right in the middle of the Netherlands school holidays, but we obviously didn't know that, so we changed it to like the week after. So that calendar really helps you out because there might be some dates that, especially if you're travelling from the UK, you might not be aware that are quite busy.
Yeah.
When we went, it said lively, but I thought it was just like the perfect amount of people. There was enough people that it had a great atmosphere, but it wasn't enough people that it was, really busy. We couldn't get on rides. I think the maximum we queued was half an hour, I think. So yeah, when we went, it said lively, and I think that was perfect. So tip number 2, so you've looked on the website and then next we highly recommend that you download the Efteling app.
Yes.
There is so much that you can do on here before you go and also when you're actually there in the park. So when you're actually in the park, you can use the app for your park tickets. There's also a map on there, especially if it's your first time. I really found the map helpful because you could see where all the rides were, or the restaurants, or wherever you want to go to. It also had the wait time, so you could check what rides were busy and what rides had a less wait. You can also check the show times as well. It had all of them on the app as well.
Yeah, and also, you're speaking of restaurants, you could actually book some of the restaurants as well. That's something that we were able to do before we went, which was fantastic. We had those locked in. And then one cool feature was with staying on site, our digital key to our room was on the app. So we didn't actually have a practical card to open up the door. We used our mobile phone, it had the digital key on, and it opened up the room.
Yeah, there's so much information on there.
Tickets, they go on there as well.
Yeah, there's just so much. So yeah, I would highly recommend downloading the app before you go so you can book your restaurants.
Yeah.
But then also, especially when you're there, because you will use it.
So this one is to do with the rides, and we thought this was helpful because when you're planning your trip and looking at the rides, you might think, right, well, I'll go on that once and then I'm done. Well, actually, some of the rides have multiple sort of scenarios or multiple tracks. So, for example, you've got Joris and the Drac, which is Joris and the Dragon, which is they've got a water track and they've got a fire track. You don't actually get wet on the water one.
No.
And then also when it comes to Symbolica, you've got three different versions.
Ones. So when you're in the queue right at the end, the queue splits into 3. So you might not realise, if you're just following the person in front and not really looking up, you might not notice that it splits into 3. So you've got heroes, you have treasure,
and music.
Music. So we actually managed to ride all 3 in our trip, and I'd highly recommend doing it because there is a little part of the ride that is completely different depending what track you're on.
Yeah, so that's like something good to know ahead of like planning out what you're going to do each day. Oh, I nearly forgot one. And that was Maxa Moritz.
Yes, that one's a little bit more obvious when you walk up because it has clear Max line and a clear Moritz line. So yeah, definitely try and ride both.
Yeah, and then let us know which one's your favourite.
I actually have heard that Max is the most popular.
I know!
Which is odd because we liked Moritz.
We said Moritz, and I think that was because there was a giant whoopee cushion involved.
Yeah, so we love. So this is tip number 4. So all of the staff members at Efteling are so helpful, so lovely. We had so many lovely chats with everyone. And we thought a good tip to know is that on their badge, they have the flags of the countries, of the languages that they speak.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're so talented.
Amazing.
So many of them are multilingual and can speak so many different languages.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there is maybe more of you need a longer answer or you need some more detail in your certain language, if you just find a staff member that has your language on their badge, then you can chat to them.
It's like a neat little way to identify.
Yeah, we thought that was really clever. But saying that, we are from the UK, so we speak English, and the majority of people there speak amazing English, really, really great English. So, don't be worried about that. Everyone there is pretty amazing at languages.
And I'm really appreciating, because I asked in one of the vlogs about getting like the right pronunciations for some of the things that we did in the vlogs. And I'm really trying to learn them and perfect them for like the next time that we go, because it's like, they do amazing speaking our language. I really want to speak theirs as well.
Yeah, so. And they're really helpful. Like quite a few times we would say, how do you actually pronounce that?
Yeah.
And they were always really happy to help, and I think they enjoyed sharing it with us. So that's another top tip. If you don't know how to pronounce something, just ask. They're really friendly.
The next one is to do with shopping. So there were lots of souvenirs that we could have possibly picked up.
Lots of
But what was a great feature, and I noticed the poster for this when I was inside one of the stores. I think it was after we'd come off Dreamflucht, Helena's favourite. And it told me that you can purchase, but then they can hold it for you at the exit of the park. So that you don't have to carry it around the park. And then also they can send it to your hotel if you are staying on site. With that in mind, the first shop that you come to as you come into Efteling, the one right at the front, gets very busy.
Right at the end of the day, or like an hour before the end of the day.
So I'd probably advise trying to go in there a little bit before the end of the day, or morning, early afternoon, and then they can just like hold it for you at the exit.
So don't be worried about buying it right at the beginning of the day, thinking, oh no, I'm going to have to carry this round, because you can get it sent.
Yeah.
So the next tip is all about food and lunch, and you can actually take food into the park so you can have a picnic. We saw some people also eating on gondoletta, which I think is quite a nice tip.
Yes.
So gondoletta is a boat ride, about 20 minutes, so a good chunk of time. So we saw people eating sandwiches. We saw some people also having like snacks.
Yeah, like as soon as you get into it, that's it. Get the stuff out, because then you've got 20 minutes to enjoy it. I think somebody said that I might have got this wrong, but I think they lived nearby or they worked nearby and they were on their break. and they would always just pop into Efteling and they'd go on the gondoletta and have their lunch.
That's such a nice lunch break. They also have so many green spaces to have a picnic, and beautiful green spaces.
Yeah.
So yeah, if the sun is shining and you want to sit down and have a picnic, there's so many spots that you can do that. Also, they have water fountains around the park. So make sure you bring your water bottle and then you can just fill it up when you need it.
Yep.
Also, if you don't want to bring your own picnic, there are so many good food options.
So many.
Check out the vlogs because we ate at some amazing places. So I love that you have the option of both.
And we actually didn't manage to eat at some of the places because we'd
were
already
too full.
had too much food, like the bakery. We didn't manage to get to the bakery. And then a lot of places, I know I'm adding this on, this is like a little extra.
Yeah.
A lot of the places also do like mobile order as well.
Oh, yes.
So this one, I'm just slightly cheating. There's a few different ones in here. This is mainly to do with like staying on site and some of the benefits that you get with staying on site. The main one that the point was originally for is that with staying on site, you get entry to the park half an hour before it opens to everyone else. So within that time, you're able to ride a lot of the rides, take some pictures. It
was so quiet when we were there.
Yeah.
And it was a really nice, relaxing way to start the morning.
Yeah, it really allowed us as well to like get on all the big coasters in the morning, didn't it? And then we were able to go off and do some of the other things later on in the day. And then we were at Hotel Bosrak, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Loved that
We'd
hotel.
highly recommend staying there.
They do have other hotels as well, which you can check out. And the Efteling Hotel has really cool, like, themed suites as well. But within Hotel Bosrak, there was a family room that we had, and then there was bunk beds in one room with some sleeping hats.
Yeah.
And a book as well with a story in it. And we didn't realise at the time, but we've since had comments that you're actually allowed to take those hats and take the book.
As a souvenir.
And the book it was in Dutch, but if you take it to the reception, they have ones in different languages.
They've literally thought of everything. But yeah, we weren't aware of that. So I think that is a lovely little touch, a lovely little souvenir that you can take home.
We don't have the hats.
No, we didn't know. So next is all about the shows, and we saw so many shows when we were there. And we just wanted to say that don't be put off if you don't speak Dutch, thinking, oh no, I won't be able to understand everything. They are so clever in the way that they tell a story through actions and music. We went to see the Ravlang show, kind of like a stunt show, but also tells a story, and it was amazing, really, really good. Got loads of clips in the vlog. It was in Dutch, but we completely understood the story. The way they acted it was so good, and because there's so much action, you know, it didn't really affect us.
No, and also reading up a bit about it beforehand, so knowing the story of it, and that it was about some riders that were being trained up, and then they were going to go up against Count Olaf. Like, I had that story in my head, so as the things were happening, I understood where the story was going. But something that, again, from the comments, thank you so much for all this information in the comments, somebody did say that you can ask the staff members for a headset which will provide different languages. Which
is very clever. So we didn't try that out, but if anyone has, let us know in the comments. Also, we saw Aquanura, which is a water and light show. Again, that's just all set to music.
Yeah.
And then Fabula, which is a 4D experience film.
Yeah.
Again, no speaking. The story is told completely through animation and again, so that language doesn't matter there as well.
Animation done by Aardman.
Yes.
Who famous for like Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run.
Oh, we kind of, I didn't have, crazy expectations for that 4D show, but I really loved it. I thought it was amazing. Really, really good. Probably my favourite 4D show I've ever seen.
It was really good. I mean, even the pre-show. I thought the pre-show was the
was
the main show, and then we went through to the next room.
It was really cute.
So number 9 is to not miss out on the Fairy Tale Forest. Now, the Fairy Tale Forest is one of the oldest parts of Efteling, but it is fantastic, and it retells all these different fairy tales. You can easily, which we found out, you can easily miss out on some if you go in the wrong way or you don't follow a certain route. What I would probably advise, after listening to you again in the comments, is to, I'll try and put it up actually as well. So if you start from this certain bit that is near the diorama and where the carousel is, if you go in that entrance and you're going to come to Sleeping Beauty's castle first, looking at the map, it looks like it's much more of a
clear route.
Follow it all the way around and you will come across every single one.
Yeah, we sort of went a bit like to and from, didn't we?
Yeah.
Diagonally, like we weren't really following a clear route. So I think we might have missed a couple. Well,
Yes.
I know we missed a couple.
We did.
But even though we missed a couple, we were in there for, I want to say about an hour and a half.
It was a long time.
You can spend a lot of time in there. And so I definitely leave an afternoon and dedicate that afternoon to it, because it is very magical. It's very unique to Efteling.
Yeah.
And yeah, you need quite a lot of time to fully appreciate it.
Yeah, and you can get loads of photo opportunities in there as well, and music's great.
And some of them as well, they're sort of on a bit of a loop. So if you turn up and nothing's happening,
Yes.
maybe hang around for a minute or so, because some of the things will start up again. So if you're just powering through, you might miss, because there was one which had about a 5 to 10-minute little story.
Yeah.
That was on loop. So yeah, I'd highly recommend the Fairy Tale Forest. Some really good photo opportunities as well. You have to get one with the classic long neck.
Definitely use the map. But with us missing out on a few, I mean, maybe we just did it on purpose so that we had to go back.
So then we have come to our last tip. And that is, you're not going to get everything done in one day. So I think quite a lot of people normally ask, how many days do I need at Efteling? I think in an ideal world, 2 full days. If you have the time, 3 days would be perfect. That's how long we spent.
That's what we did, yeah.
So
and we still missed out on certain things.
Yeah, so we arrived halfway through the first day. And then we had a full day the next day, and then we left around 3 or 4 the day after. So yeah, 2 nights if you can. If you can't, 1 night is fine. You'll probably get the majority done in 2 days.
Yeah, that's if you want to try and tackle everything. I mean, you can of course just go if you have 1 day available and then go back to do the other stuff. But yeah, if you want to try and get the majority of stuff done, then, because especially when you start factoring in the rides and then the Fairy Tale Forest, and then the shows. There is a lot going on.
There's a lot to do. You won't be bored if you spend more than 1 day there. Not at all.
No.
And then if you do have 1 day there, I would highly recommend planning your day, because it is bigger than you probably think. So I think when you enter that morning, it would be nice if you had a little bit of a plan, just so you can utilise the 1 day that you have.
I mean, yeah, that was actually, I think that was on our list at one point, to be in the 10, but to have a little plan.
That's kind of our general tip whenever we do tips about any theme park. Personally, for us, sometimes when you walk into a new place, it can be quite overwhelming, and it can take a bit of the... not the joy out of it, but you don't want to get stressed. You want to avoid stress as much as you can. So I think planning in advance, just a little bit. Of course, plans can change. You can go with the flow. But if you have a little plan in place, I just think it alleviates some of that overwhelmed feeling.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I know that ride. And
you know you're not missing out on what you definitely want to get.
Yeah. So that is all 10 tips. Definitely wasn't 10, because we definitely merged a lot of tips in one.
We did. We sort of bent the rules a little bit.
But I hope you found that helpful, especially if you're planning your trip for the first time. We've had so many messages of people saying, I have booked a trip because of your vlogs, and that just means the world to us, that you trust us as well. That's just so lovely. And because honestly, we had the best time.
I would 100% recommend, if you've watched the vlogs but you haven't looked at the comments, have a look at the comments on the vlogs, and have a look at comments in this, because everyone's just helping each other out with all sorts of information and things that maybe we weren't able to fit into a vlog or fit into this video. And there's things that I've just picked up that I've now used. So I would recommend looking at the comments.
So I think we will leave this video here. As we said before, keep sharing your tips in the comments. We'll make sure that we read every single one, and we will see you in the next video.
Yes, if you like this one, hit the like button and also subscribe.
Bye.
Toodle Pipski.